Ozzy did feel very alone, lost and broke. Suddenly he was out of the band and, you know, would he get picked up and who was interested in him, and was his career over?
For a guy like me who's got self-esteem issues, the idea of going solo was very, very scary.
I knew he had great talent, and I just felt in my gut that he could make a huge comeback. It was then that I became his actual manager properly, and first thing, we had to find that band. We auditioned hundreds of guitar players. Literally, we would turn up at the rehearsal rooms and there would be lines around the block of musicians waiting to see Ozzy.
That was a bit of a slow process at first, until I met someone who put me in touch with Randy Rhoads.
Randy had like a deepish voice for a little guy. Wow, you know. So he goes into the studio, and I'm fucking sitting in the studio window thing, like that, like that, looking at him. I'm fucking zonked. And he goes, "What do you want me to do?" I said, "Play any fucking thing." So I have a solo, and he played his fucking solo, and I was like, am I that fucking stoned, or am I hallucinating, or what the fuck is this?
So he was very lucky to run into Randy Rhoads, and the guitar sound really reinvented Ozzy's voice. And he had a true writing partner and a friend, and they really clicked.
Everybody thought maybe he was going to be down and out because of what happened with Sabbath, and he just shocked the world. Especially with Randy Rhoads and the magnitude of what this guy was doing. I mean, here's this guy who's given Eddie Van Halen a run for his money. Everybody thought that Eddie Van Halen was the king.
I knew instinctively that he was something extra special. He was like a gift from God, and having that fucking thing, having a gift from a higher power, well, I don't know what the fucking deal was, but this guy did something to me. And the one thing that he gave to me was hope. He gave me a reason for carrying on.
Blizzard of Oz, the first record was done in 6 weeks. It was just, you know, instantly blew up everywhere. He went right on tour through Europe with the band, then back into the studio 3 months later to do Diary of a Madman. Less than a year after being fired from Black Sabbath, Ozzy was a rock star again.
Diary of a Madman tour was just massive. It was the loudest show I've ever been a part of.
That tour was just like a magical time. I think Randy and Ozzy gelled together like left and right hand. It was just amazing.
Their friendship was, it was just like two best mates, hanging out, laughing, but yet that passion for music. I mean, everything was the albums that they were writing and the gigs and just music talk the whole time.
You know, Randy was able to achieve a lot in a very short period of time. And a lot of it was due to Ozzy's mentorship.
Randy, on behalf of the over 500,000 readers of Guitar Player magazine in the U.S. and in 70 countries throughout the world, I'd like to present you with the 1981 Best New Talent Award. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Ooh, 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 ooh. Give him a kiss, Ozzy.
I've got a lot of work to do, and makes you realize there's a lot of responsibility. And this tour, I want to really get myself together and work harder, you know, because I'm really proud and honored, and I don't want to stop here, you know.
Randy Rhoads, the 25-year-old lead guitarist for Ozzy Osbourne's group, was killed in a plane crash this morning along with two other people. Andrew Acox, the pilot of the plane, also Rachel Youngblood, the group's hairdresser. Ozzy Osbourne himself was in the van when one of the plane's wings clipped it, but Ozzy escaped injury, we understand. 25-year-old Randy Rhoads is dead today.
The morning that Randy was killed, I'll never forget. I'll never forget. When you know we were there for so many hours because it took so long for the authorities to came down, the police and the fire department. We finally went to a nearby hotel, and I just couldn't stay in my room, so I went down. I went out on the street and I found a church right down the street. All I wanted to do is just sit there and just, you know, make some sense of what was going on. And I didn't even look up, and I'm sitting there, and I hear this sobbing and this crying, and I thought, wow, this person has got to be in more pain than I am. And I look up, and it's Ozzy sitting there.
The craziest day of my life was the day that Randy Rhoads died, you know. I mean, I couldn't believe that. You've got to deal with that, you know. People tend to forget people in this business so quickly, you know. That guy was my brother, man. That guy was like a part of my life, you know. And he's dead. Why don't people start talking to me about the death of Randy Rhoads instead of asking me the craziest prank that I've ever done? That was the craziest prank that I've ever witnessed, was seeing that guy burn, you know. And the day that Randy Rhoads died, it was a day a part of me died, man. And Rachel Youngblood, my seamstress. They forget that, you know. It just gets kind of weird. Friday, Saturday, yeah?
Today is Saturday, yes.
I don't know what country I'm in half the time. I don't know what fucking time it is.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
after The Diary of a Madman tour, I went to Barbados with my family. My ex-wife told me on the plane coming back, I want a divorce. But, you know, it's very ugly for a while. My children still wanted their father, their dad, you know. And that's a fucking dreadful feeling that you have to go through. I remember going to my house one day, and Louis, my son, was a little kid. And he got me in, and I can remember him sticking his fingernails in, and tears were streaming down his face, and he says, "Daddy, please come home. We can work this out." That one incident tore my heart out, tore my fucking heart out. It just fucked me up. I don't know anybody else, but it really devastated me.
Ozzy and I were friends. We worked together, and that was it. But it wasn't until August of 1980 that we actually had a relationship going. We were at the first night that we were actually together in Shepperton in 1980, and then the next day I thought, oh, well, you know, it just happened. Drunk, we were, you know, in the moment, it'll all be over. And each night after the show,
it happened again.
It happened again, and again, and again. And then it was either we were in the pub, in bed, or on stage. That was it.
That's about it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I didn't know they had a relationship or anything, and I'm shooting Ozzy in the bed, and then all of a sudden, Sharon goes under the covers. All of a sudden, Sharon's down there like she's doing the deed, you know, like, and Ozzy's just like freaking.
Ozzy and I got married in 1982 in Maui. And we wanted to start a family. That's why we got married. We both wanted our own family.
Dad was there for me when I was growing up. There were times, there were like chunks. There were, you know, but then again, there were loads of times where he, you know, he wasn't a great father, and he wasn't, there when I needed him. Meaning, you know, the fact that he was messed up a lot of the time.
Well, when he was drunk, he was mostly tearful, and sometimes he'd get a bit angry and a bit like, I work hard, I should be able to do what I want, but mostly tearful.
I don't honestly think that Ozzy knew how to be a father. The drinking, you know, the huge success that was going on in his life, the turmoil of leaving one family and starting another family. He was just, you know, he was like treading water. And that caused the behavior to get even worse. So his pranks that he used to play would get bigger and larger and crazier, and his whole behavior on and off stage was over the top, and it was like insanity, just going around and around and around, complete insanity.
Rock star Ozzy Osbourne, who is known for biting the heads off of bats at his concerts.
Osbourne was arrested for urinating on the Alamo. Reunion Arena was filled with the anticipation of a cat slaughter tonight. Rumor was that punk rocker Ozzy Osbourne was going to release hundreds of cats here and expected the audience to kill them before his appearance on stage.
The lyrics from one of his songs encouraged a young man to commit suicide.
His father claims John was listening to Ozzy Osbourne music at the time.
Gained a reputation for being rock and roll's definitive crazy person.
Well, I suppose you could say that.
Can we talk about you being crazy?
I'm not crazy. In the 80s, I was the crazy guy in rock and roll. If you wanted me to do something, tell me not to.
That was about the order of the fucking day. I was drunk and fucked up on a daily basis. So when you get drunk and fucked up, you're hardly expected to fucking tiptoe through the tulips or whatever the fuck. And when you're loaded, you do crazy things.
It was the first time that Ozzy met the A&R staff, promotional staff at CBS in Los Angeles. And, you know, Ozzy's deal was a cheap deal. They didn't want Ozzy. It was a favor that they signed Ozzy. It was just a favor. You know, 65 grand they paid for the album. So he wasn't on their high list of priorities. You know, they had fucking Michael Jackson. And it was like, okay, well, they've got to remember you. And so then we said, oh, the Doves of Peace, that'll be nice. You know, go in and let the birds go, and then it'll be lovely, and, you know, they'll remember. Maybe it'll shit on somebody's desk, and that'll be funny, and then we leave.
She wanted me to go in there with 2 doves and peace offering, you know. She says, you blow this and we're completely fucked.
We go into the meeting, and there's, you know, the big conference table, and there must have been, I don't know, 20, 30 people in there. And he sat there and he lets this bird go, and everybody's, oh, you know, magic trick. Oh, is that real?
I threw the one up in the air, sat on this girl's lap, and snapped the other one in my mouth and bit his head up. And there's a photo somewhere of me, of the actual event happening.
Picked it up and ripped its head off and spat it out on the girl, and she went absolutely fucking insane. They suddenly called the security, and we were like yanked out of the conference room.
It was not a publicity. I was just out of my fucking face on drugs and alcohol, you know.
What is the truth behind Ozzy biting head off a bat?
The bat started because of the dove. Kids kept hearing these stories, so they would bring him animals to the gigs, thinking that he would want to eat them.
And somebody threw a bat, and to find someone who goes to a concert with a bat in a real bat, you always get the joke ones, you know, you get like the rubber ones you buy from the corner joke shop. And I picked it, I thought, oh, this will be good. Bit into this bat.
You bit it?
Believe me, if I'd known it was a real live bat, I would never have picked it up. But I tell you what, you know, afterwards, the rabies shots were horrendous.
It went out on the wire that Ozzy had bitten the head off a bat and had to have these rabies shots. And then suddenly, Ozzy is this larger-than-life character.
When we were on tour with Ozzy, we'd always have these crazy parties backstage. He would come onto our bus and say, I'm riding with you guys to the next city. And he'd fucking reach into his coat pocket or his pants and pull out, he'd pull out like 2 huge bags of cocaine. He goes, oh, I've got bags of this shit. And we would fucking, all of us would go back to the back of the bus and we would fucking snort cocaine for fucking, you know, 10-hour bus rides. And we're walking into hotels like the Four Seasons or the Ritz-Carltons where, like, you know, mom and dad, we're a happy family, or out by the pool, and everybody's like their little resort. And here comes Motley Crue and Ozzy just fucking blasted. And it was like this who can outgross contest, which Nicky kind of started. And all of a sudden, we're sitting out by the pool having drinks, and Nicky pisses on the ground and goes to lick up his own piss to freak Ozzy out. Well, Ozzy beats him to the punch and starts licking up Nicky's piss. And we're like, oh, dude, fuck. This is fucked up. What is wrong with you two? And the hotel is freaking out. The security's kicking us out of the pool. This is like they're doing the outgross contest, snorting ants, fucking licking up each other's piss. And I'm like, dude, let's just go to the fucking room, says, chill out, come on. And the fucking right, and it fucking, and it's just going, like, I'm like, dude, please. I just fucking grab him, like, come on. Take him to the elevator. I find his room, put the key in, I'm like, okay, bud. I, like, push the door, I'm like, okay, bud, you're in your room. Okay, bye. He's like, no, fucking come in, mate. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I almost got out of here. And he pulls me into his room, pulls his pants down, and just shits on the fucking floor. A fucking big shit on the floor. And I'm like, okay, dude, I gotta go. No, fucking come. And he fucking drags me back in, and now he picks up the shit, and he's got it in his hands, and he's just smearing it all over the walls of his fucking hotel room. I'm like, dude, I gotta go. This is fucked up. And I remember turning around, and I saw his back, and he was just painting with his shit on the walls, and I just fucking was like, now's my chance. And I fucking pinned it out of there, dude. I was like, this is on some other next level shit. Like, I'm not really ready to compete at this level. I'm cool with, you know, taking a shit in the toilet.
I think that Ozzy's behavior in the 80s, I think it's a fact of everything Ozzy had always lost. You know, he lost Sabbath, he lost his first wife, he lost his first kids. You know, everything would come and go. So he was like fucking everything that fucking had a pulse, sniffing everything he could sniff, because he thought that it was all going to end, so he was going to go out with a, you know, on a high.
I hated this video. So fucking lame. Oh, I don't like it. Fucking, everybody was fucked up and drunk and everything. Oh, well, look at it. I don't remember what drugs I was addicted to at the fucking time. So next, come on. It's a cliche fucking 80s video, that is. I can't remember doing this fucking thing. I was a mess in there. I was doing fucking morphine, Vicodin, fucking booze, all kinds of shit, dude. But I can't remember. I just can't remember it at all. Never happened. Next! Hokey. Whose idea was it? How the fuck do I know? It's just boring to me. It's finding hard to go back there, you know. A lot of it, I don't want to go back there, you know. Walk around and fucking watch your shit. let's get on with this then.
Yes. What does Dennis feel like tonight? You have a tour starting tomorrow. Is it always like this, or is this an exception?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Come on! Come on!
Yeah. No. It's like we did. 16 days ago we got over from Japan.
When Ozzy was drunk, he was fucked up beyond belief. I mean, to the point where he would drink until he couldn't drink anymore. Where he was be unconscious. That's the only thing that would stop him drinking. He could be unconscious or asleep. He was blacking out. He was drinking and going unconscious on the floor. He couldn't move. His eyes would be open, but he would be like unconscious. It was weird.
I passed out with a bottle of fucking Vicodin in my mouth.
Mainly, I was concerned about him, like, choking on his vomit, falling asleep when he was drunk and choking on his vomit.
This milk was stagnant. I'm fucking blasted.
I think it was in Memphis, Ozzy disappeared. And, you know, he got found in the middle of a freeway. You know, he crossed over half of a freeway and stopped in the middle, and he was in the central reservation, and he was sleeping, and he woke up, and he had to get across the other half. I mean, how he didn't get knocked over, because he was absolutely shit-faced.
That's when a clock showed him, I think. Really? I think so. We're always fucking fighting moonshine. That's when I smacked Sharon in the eye. For what, I don't know.
It had been coming for a while. Ozzy was on a bender, you know, he was really on a roll. He'd been very bad for the last couple of weeks, and we'd had a couple of fights where we'd beaten each other, and, you know, it was nasty. But you kind of get you know, when anyone knows who lives with an addict, that there are times when it's worse than others. And it was just building to something. You could just feel it, the atmosphere between us. And my God, it did. And I'd put the kids to bed, you know, we sat down, I was reading. And he came in, he'd been laying down. He'd actually drunk himself into one of those, you know, like coma zone things on the bed. He'd passed out and woke up, came downstairs, and I knew when he came in that he was like looking for trouble. And Ozzy is very rarely calm, very calm. And his eyes, the kind of shutter had gone down on his eyes. You couldn't really, you know, I had no idea who was sat across from me on the sofa, but it wasn't my husband. And then he just said that they had come. He said, they've made a decision that I had to die. And I'm like, they? Yes, they've made the decision. We've made the decision you're going to have to die. And then he just got up from the sofa and just dived on me and started to choke me. Fabulous.
All I remember was waking up in Amersham jail, and I asked the cop why I was there. I said, excuse me, I said, why am I here? He says, you want me to read your charge? So he read, John Michael had been arrested for attempted murder of Sharon Osbourne. I'm like, is this a joke? He says, no, I'm not joking. He says, you're going to court in a minute. That hit me like, it was like a fucking hammer between the eyes. It was like, I was like, I remember getting this dull feeling in my heart, which is like, I thought I didn't know whether she was in hospital or what I'd done, you know. That's where we used to rehearse. That's where we used to rehearse, yeah. That's a pub I used to go to as well, over there. She's down there is Witten Road. I used to walk all the way up here to go to Lucas Car Factory every day to go to work with my mum. Fucking hell. We just come up to Lodge Road now. Fucking hell, man. It's so small, it's unbelievable. I can't believe how small it is. Fucking Jesus Christ. When I was a kid, it used to be like the longest road in the world, you know. When you're a young kid and you got successful like I did, you get very arrogant and your ego runs the world. You think it's you know. You forget your upbringing. It's like, took me till now to kind of realise that, you know. Wow.
Wow.
Oh, this is... Wow, this is unbelievable. This is amazing. Wow. That was Mrs. Clark's shop I broke into. That was my bedroom up there. As my sisters would get older, get married, you were allowed to go in the back room where you have it to yourself. And this was about right here. I lived in here for a while, and she's unbelievable. I hated school. I fucking hated it. I have dreadfully bad dyslexia. When I was at school, nobody knew what it was about, you know. When somebody goes, look, 1 + 1 = 2. And you look at them, you go, well, what the fuck does 1 mean? I couldn't retain any information because my attention deficit was so bad. It still is. And I go rambling on, you know. It's like I don't know what I'm talking about half the time. It's talk, you know. I was very low on self-esteem. I used to get picked on by bullies, but it just pushed me further inside myself.
Where you came from,
yeah.
Did everyone drink?
Coming from the background that I come from, I thought that was what you do. You get successful, you get married, you have kids, and you get to go to the pub, you know. I mean, I used to think everybody, as they get older, gets fucking pissed. The first time I got drunk was about 14. I didn't stop. I drank it and I got the feeling like I drank till I pissed my pants in this fucking pub. And then that's the way from the first drink. I didn't drink for the drink. I drank for the effect.
How many rehabs?
I've been in a bunch of between detoxes and rehab. That's going to be 10 as well.
Ozzy tried to get sober, I would say, between 40 to 50 times, but he had been in and out of rehabs about, I can think of 10 different rehabs he went to over the period of time.
You know, I used to go 90 days and I'd go, fuck this, it's crap, and go out and get fucked up again.
1 minute he'd be sitting here sober, the next minute you would see him be fucked up, you know? He would disappear somewhere, or he would go to the fridge and get a beer, or he'd go for a walk up the drive to the pub.
I just knew the cycle. It would be like, my dad would go to treatment, he'd stay sober for maybe 60 days tops, and then he'd start messing around with pills, and then he would do that for a while, and then he would just go right to the drink, and then it would get really bad. Then he'd go back to treatment.
I don't actually believe that he was ever fully sober. He was just drunk. He was just not a dad.
He was drunk and he was fucked up all the time. I came home from school every single day to see him lying on a couch, drooling with a pill bottle on the floor, or a vodka bottle on the floor, or, you know, opening up the oven to make a cake with my friends to find that that's where my dad had hid the bottles of alcohol.
One thing about drugs and alcohol, they make you lie. You start lying and covering up your tracks and hiding things and fucking... I used to wait for the guy to drop my drugs off, and I'd be like running in and out the fucking house all day long, you know, thinking that nobody would suspect I was like waiting for dope to be delivered, you know.
Crazy, hey, but that's how it goes.
When the Osbournes first started, he was probably at his worst peak of drinking. I mean, like, pretty much going through the worst times.
That you pick up the fucking phone and call him. That was the worst thing I ever did, because then I never off the phone.
Sometimes, you know, he'd be popping pills from numerous different disgusting doctors that would give him whatever he wanted, and I don't know, sometimes he'd be on downers, sometimes he'd be on uppers. So, like, that obviously will make anyone behave a little bit off and, you know, scary sometimes.
Why do we have 3 brown fingers?
3 oh. Because I put brown dye in my hair.
I think it was affecting, well, it was affecting his speech, it was affecting the way he walked, it was affecting the way he stirred, it was just everything. Part of his fame came from how he looked. People thought it was funny, thought it was cute.
The fuck's this shit? This is not allowed. What's happened to it? Where did you get this fucking thing?
What they thought was funny was kind of sad, because he was actually destroying himself and also destroying the family.
I mean, there's hours and hours of footage of stuff that just couldn't show. It was too real. You know, granted, yes, the Osbournes was not scripted, but people don't want to sit home on MTV and watch alcoholism tear apart a family.
When we first started filming the Osbournes, it was no secret my dad did drugs. He was an addict, but he was kind of a functioning addict. But when my mum was diagnosed with cancer, it very quickly, he was out of control. Out of control. He never came out of his room that we called the bunker. He couldn't stand up straight. He couldn't walk properly. He couldn't hear. He shook. He stuttered. I mean, everything that you could imagine. I mean, he was a zombie. I was taking drugs too during that time when my mom had cancer. I was using too. I got through that experience by hiding my emotions through using drugs.
I'll get you a bottle of water. Just sip on the water, Kelly.
I've got that interview on the phone.
And on the phone?
Yeah, she's holding on. I had to hang up because I was throwing up.
Let me get you a bottle of water. Jack and Kelly started using and doing drugs and alcohol and whatever at a very early age. Things start happening in my family. I mean, it was my son Jack who got sober first.
When I'd got sober, we were sat at a table and he's like, oh, I threw away all my pain medication the other day, and I was like, well, why did you have them in the first place? And this whole argument erupted, and the one excuse my dad always went to when he was getting messed up was, you guys never needed for anything. You never, whatever you wanted, I gave you.
I said to him, what the fuck are you always pissed off with me for? I said, you've never, ever wanted for a fucking thing from the moment you took your first breath. He went, oh yeah? What about a father? And that hit me straight between the eyes like fucking David and Goliath when he got that slingshot in it. He just knocked me on my eyes, and I just, oh, fucking hell.
I honestly think that the turning point for Ozzy was Jack's sobriety. Jack learned how to deal with life sober. And I think it shamed Ozzy that he couldn't do it. He could never get it. And that's what was his big turning point in life.
That was the start of the journey of him being sober. You know, the evidence proves the fact, because he hasn't drunk or abused for over 5 years now.
I'm clean, I'm sober, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, I don't do alcohol anymore. I haven't done for a long while, but I like being sober, I like being straight, I don't want to smoke tobacco anymore.
He blew us all away. I mean, none of us ever really thought that he'd maintain it for as long as he has now, and it really seems like he's come through the other side.
When you really let go, it's like somebody takes that chain off you, you know, and you just go, and when you're involved in it, you don't realise how much hard work it is to be a fucking alcoholic. But it's when you get fed up with you behaving the way you do. I mean, sometimes I go, is this what it's all about? I want to get fucked up, but I don't.
His face is alive, and he stands up straight, and he walks tall and with confidence, and he's not ashamed of himself anymore. He has nothing to hide anymore, and he has nothing to lie about anymore, which makes him, I think he's really proud of himself. I think it's the first time he's proud of himself.
Do you like it, being clean?
I like it, yeah. With a bit of time, you sort of go, what did I ever think about that was fun? What was fucking fun about waking up in a police station on the back of a fucking police car? But I have a laugh now, I mean, naturally. I mean, if I could sprinkle this on the fucking world, it'd be a much better place.
I spent 19 years of my life praying that I would wake up one day and have the father I have today. And most people can't turn around and say that that has happened for them, and it happened for me, and I'm so proud of him, because I know how hard it is.
I think it's fucking fantastic. Our relationship's improved a lot over the last few years since he's been sober. I'm actually quite amazed at how fit he is and how more astute he is than he was.
He is changed a lot. He's lost a lot of weight. He's very health conscious. He works out nearly every day.
Ozzy's grown up. You know, it took him longer than most people, but he's got there. He's here. He works really hard for his sobriety, and he deserves it.
Sobriety's totally changed him as a person. You know, he just seems like he's a lot more at ease with himself. You know, whereas before he was just kind of all over the place. Well, now, you know, he'll just sit and with his headphones on quietly, just drawing.
It's not art. I do it for therapeutic reasons. I just find it stops my head of hand grenades going off, you know, because it slows my head down, you know. If I've always worried. Sometimes I worry because I ain't got nothing to worry about, you know. That's how bad it is sometimes. I don't go to bed at night thinking, I shouldn't have painted that because people are going to get pissed off at me and they ain't going to buy another painting. It's just something, out of all this chaos and all this anxiety that I live in and all this fear, stops everything in its tracks, and it's mine. And so when you ask me a question about it, I have no answer because I don't think of anything more than it's mine.
He really talked for years about wanting to have his driving license and never thought he could do it, you know. And, well, he wouldn't have been able to do it in his drinking days, obviously. But since he became sober, he had talked about it quite a lot, about getting his driving license.
I'm getting my license so I don't feel like a fucking terminal prisoner. Meaning that when everybody leaves the house, I'm stuck. you know. I can't go anywhere. I just want to, oh, it's a way of feeling free, you know. Well, I'm dependent on everybody to drive me wherever I want to go. That's the reason why I want to get a driving license right there. I'm not intoxicating. I don't want people to, I want a part of my life where I can say, I'm in the car, driving my car where I want to go. Not being sitting there going, having an argument with someone over some shit. I just want to get the freedom of being able to drive in with my head, you know. When I first got successful, right, I bought the guns, the fucking knives, the fucking archery sets, the motorcycles, all the things that I felt I couldn't afford to have when I was younger. Right? So I got all that out of my system. Now I've always really wanted to drive, but I've been too fucked up to get that back. So I'm fulfilling all the things that I wanted to do. I've had a one-of-a-kind life, you know. I mean, I've had a lot of ups and downs in my life. But people say, if I could change any one thing, what would I change? I don't know. Because I think everything's there for a reason, you know. I mean, life's a learning process. I mean, I don't know what the fucking, what the secret of life is. I don't know what the thing is. It's just been, I've had a good run, you know. I love my wife, I love my family, I love I'm beginning to love me a lot more than I ever used to. It's the first person you should always learn to love is yourself.